Through my life, I've had many things that have contributed to my insecurity. Vivid memories starting as young as 3 of a cow knocking me down and just about killing me. I was molested on the way home from school. I had played with the church, but I hadn't accepted Christ into my heart until somewhere around 1986. But I finally made the commitment, but I did not have any understanding of what that commitment made. I met a young lady at a party. I was about 18 and a half at the time. We got married when I was 20. We had 4 children, 3 girls and a boy. The last half of the marriage was a bit rocky for multiple reasons, but that's also when my addiction issues started to come and coping issues by utilizing alcohol started. And it culminated at 9.5 years and ended up in divorce. After the divorce, I was quite devastated and destroyed, and just not being able to see my kids on a regular basis. So again, the walls started to go up and self-protection started to come in, and drinking came back into the picture yet again. It was a beginning of a bunch of cycles is what it was. I reconnected with church and had a desire to actually seek God with a different heart. And so I started attending a church here on the south side. It was about around that time that I met my second wife as well. After a while, it came to the point where I went back to drinking and I was hiding it. And, at that point, as soon as that happened, the marriage started to deteriorate quite quickly. It was, again, all because of insecurity and not wanting to look weak. Appearances, pride comes into play. Eventually got one impaired while we were married and went through a bunch of counseling, stuff like that. And I eventually had a second impaired. And when I had that second impaired, I was such a coward that I signed myself into Teen Challenge out in Saskatchewan so I wouldn't have to deal with the music at home. After the second marriage ended in divorce, again, my self-worth went into the toilet. Going back here now, 4.5 years ago, I finally convinced the doctors to do some tests to check my PSA, or actually they offered to do it, and they discovered that I had prostate cancer. They did the biopsies and it came back 11 out of 12 positive for cancer, and it had metastasized to the bone. And so the doctor, I can still remember, basically said, well, Mr. Peterson, you got 3.5 to 4.5 years to live, and we'll give you a round of chemo, but that's pretty much it. And I literally started almost like a stop clock, a game clock, every day. I saw my time running out. So following the diagnosis with cancer and the dreams, I started looking for a church. Started coming to celebrations. I could see very quickly the connections, the next steps, the programming. It was pretty easy to find things to be able to volunteer in and get involved in, and that helps with the self-confidence and the self-esteem and all that kind of fun stuff. In 2017, after going through Teen Challenge, after getting divorced, I went to ADAC and I realized that my efforts had been all in fighting the bottle or the actual drink. In reality, what I needed to work on was my insecurities and my self-worth. Between the professional counseling there and then my attending church, both here as well as in general, I haven't had an issue with alcohol since. After I'd been coming to celebrations for, I don't know the exact timeline, but I was in a worship service. In the middle of a song that one young man was singing, it was just like, do you want a miracle? Yeah. And I received. I just knew that the cancer had been healed. And since then, I've had 4 complete scans where no metastases to the bone have shown up whatsoever. It's gone, totally gone. And God has reignited the dreams that I had, way back when of doing wonderful things. But the difference is I want to do wonderful things for Him. Part of this process of healing and restoration grows to my family. I have definitely hurt those relationships, but I've started to rebuild those. And so I'm trusting for rebuilding there. And so the combination of what our church is doing and what God has always been doing brings out some pretty tremendous results. And so I see God continuing to grow. I see myself continuing to grow, and I literally see my territory expanding instead of shrinking like I did 4 years ago. And that excites me again. Whereas for the longest time, it was just blah, not no more. There's a lot going on, and I'm excited to see what the next stage or next phase is going to be.